Hi, thanks for joining us on Parallel Journeys Through Brain Injury. I'm Donna O'Donnell Fergursky, author of Prisoners Without Bars, A Caregiver's Tale, and I'm the caregiver on this team.
And I'm Deb Brandon, author of But My Brain Had Other Ideas, and I'm the survivor. Um,
Um,
and
I was going to
yeah, go
say a
ahead.
few years ago, Deb and I had this great idea to write a book together about our journeys through brain injury. And since I've been the caregiver for my husband David since 2005, I've learned a lot, too much actually. But I wanted to share my caregiver life with others. But of course, I can't completely understand what goes on in the survivor's mind. And it's kind of where Deb comes in. So, well, Deb, you ready to get started? We'll just talk about whatever comes up today.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you said that you don't have the inside view of what a survivor is going through. I didn't have an inside view of what a caregiver goes through. In fact, I think not understanding that got in the way of my um, of being cared for. Because I got
Yeah.
resentful and all that kind of stuff. There's it's a huge issue. And while I started talking to you about it more, I realized that I learned so much about the situation, about what it's like for caregivers. I felt, we really need to address the fact that we're both going on a journey. And
Oh,
and
definitely.
one of the things we address as we were when you and I were talking, we were talking about self-care, if you remember. And you were just telling me
That?
about what?
What's that?
Be good. Um, and you were just telling me about your jewelry, the jewelry making that you do.
Yeah, which I never find enough time in the day to do. So, yeah, I think that's one of my biggest problems in my life. But I'm not sure it has anything to do with caregiving David. I think it's just me,
No,
just trying to.
I mean, yeah, maybe some of it is just you, but I mean, you've been through it. I mean, we've talked about it that it took you a while before you realized how important self-care was. And way back when we were talking about it, you mentioned one of the things that gives you some downtime is the jewelry making. So no matter what you want to say, I know that that helps make your life, I won't say easier, but fulfilling, certainly.
Yeah, it definitely adds another aspect to it. It takes me away from the here and now, the urgency of everything. Now, let me just go back a step because when I started jewelry making, and I may have said this in another podcast, but when I started it, that's when it was really, really important for me to focus my attention on something other than just David and his brain injury and our lives revolving around that. Because I would just generally be focused on everything that he needed and not caring about or thinking anything. I mean, I just totally didn't even think about it, that there might be something that I need in my life as well, because his needs were so obvious and so important. And I don't mean important over mine, but he needed the care. I mean, he couldn't do things on his own. So it was me that could help him out there. And I was willingly did that. But when I started to make jewelry way back in, oh, I guess maybe it was 2007, maybe a couple years after David's,
Mhm.
or I don't know exactly when it was. I'd have to go back and look. I actually have a site online called Diamodi Jewelry that I was selling jewelry on. So there are a lot of pieces that are still up there. It's kind of inactive, but it's there because it's
Mhm.
on the web. You're there forever. So
So how do you figure out the price? Because I, as a maker myself, I did do some jewelry, but mostly it's textile stuff.
Yeah.
Figuring out the price is so difficult.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It depends on where you're going to be selling for sure. I mean,
Right.
online, I just figured my prices are very, very low apparently, because even as we talked about it earlier before the show, you and I was way, way low, and you
Oh
were
yeah.
way, way high.
Well,
And
and then we compromised.
well, I'm not even sure that came out as a compromise. I still think it's low according to your view of
Well,
everything.
the thing
But I think
is,
I underestimate myself.
yeah, no, a
I
lot
think,
of people, a lot of makers do. And then there are those who overestimate. But the thing you have to take into account, as I said, is the cost of materials, your
yeah,
time, and also how do you quantify the creativity that goes into it, the learning process? How, I mean, it's so difficult to quantify. And now, as you said, in terms of selling, it really depends where you sell things. There's online, there's in these little craft shows, and then there's fancy shows. Um, I used to sell my stuff at Pittsburgh Center for the Arts, and there I could basically there was enough stuff there that I could. You want comparable prices because you don't want to get in the way of other people selling. You
mhm,
don't want, and you want it to sell. You don't want to make the price so high that you're
yeah,
pricing yourself out of the market. It is so difficult. And quite frankly, I'd rather make than figure out the prices. And but as we were saying, how many of these things can we give to people? At one, you reach a point where you think, okay, I want to keep doing this. Might as well sell it instead of accumulating it in a box somewhere.
yeah. I know. And I mean, that's exactly it. Because I have like 30 to 50 necklaces, earrings, bracelets that I've made. And I put a lot of that, and then it's not only when you're talking about time, it's the presentation.
Oh yeah,
When I'm putting it online,
yeah.
I actually went outside. Now I used to live in New Jersey, so we had snow and ice. So I went outside on my patio, and on the table was this beautiful layer of ice.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that as my photography background. So I would lay out my necklaces in a nice fashion, and then I would photograph them. And then you have to go take them and put them on, get them out of your camera into your cloud. I don't even know if there was a cloud back then, but I mean, I'm talking 10 years ago now. So yeah, so and then put them up on the site and price them, and put a description in for them and everything, and then hope that somebody finds you. You've
Yeah.
got to be found yet on top of all that. So that's like even crazy too. So yeah, there's just so much that goes into it. And I feel that for me, I'm never going to make any money doing it, but I would like to at least cover the cost of
Right.
material, you
Right.
know. I mean, my neighbor across the street from me is a world famous artist.
Hmm.
And she makes these gorgeous paintings. I mean, really beautiful landscapes of the desert and the beaches and things like that. And they go for anywhere between 250, no, 2,500 and $6,000.
Who could
And
who
those
has that
two,
money to say?
oh, she sells them. I can't wait to find out. She was just at a craft fair in or whatever, the whatever you might call it. It's maybe, it was an art and wine festival is what it was.
Mhm.
Okay, so she has her tent, and she sets everything up, and she was in Los Altos this weekend, and I can't wait to find out how many she sold. But the last time she went out 2 weeks ago, she sold three paintings,
Mhm.
so people do it in their thing. But I think part of my thing is I feel like it's imposter syndrome. Like, who am
Yeah.
I? Who am I to make jewelry and sell it? But as you said, this piece here that I've made, I don't know if you could see it, but I showed you this one last
Yeah, it's
week.
beautiful.
I know, and I love it, and I'm not giving it up, you know. So this one is not for sale, folks. Well, maybe it is. Everything's for
No,
sale.
no, no, no. If you sell that, I'm going to haunt you.
Yeah, so but there's another piece. Let me just show you this other piece I just did yesterday. It's not quite finished, but let me see if I can pull it up here. It still has to have its chain put on it. But you can see that one?
Yeah, I love it. But I do
That's
prefer the one you're wearing. I don't know.
yeah, and then there's this one. This was my first try for this period of work. So that one, and I've got that one's finished. This one is still in process. Let me see if I can get this one up. So yeah, it still needs chain and everything too. But yeah, so these are things that I just work on. I come over and sit down. There's my little messy desk, my messy studio. And yeah, it does. It takes me out into a different zone and
Yeah,
it's kind of
which is
fun.
really important,
Yeah.
as you well know.
But again, it's the time. It's the time trying to get over there to do it, you know.
But it's,
That's the biggest
as
thing.
you well know, when it comes to self-care, you have to make the time. You really do. And I know you've got this to do and that to do and the other to do, but actually self-care is a priority.
It
If
is.
it
I agree.
means, yeah, and if
I
it
just don't do
means,
it for me. I just tell everybody else it's important to do.
well,
And
it
don't
is,
take my
it's
own advice.
important.
I know it is. I know, but I just don't ever take my own advice and I should. So on that note, I'm going to try this week to take your good advice and take a little more care of me and do some things that I want to do if the time allows me. There's my thing.
So
Anyhow,
I think we should stop now so you can
I
get
think we
back to it.
I think that's a good idea. So again, thanks for joining us today on Parallel Journeys Through Brain Injury. I'm Donna O'Donnell Fagursky, author of Prisoners Without Bars, A Caregiver's Tale, and my cohort here is
I'm still Deb Brandon, and I'm still the author of But My Brain Had Other Ideas. Bye.
okay. Good. Bye, everybody. See you next time.